Comstock, and for everybody listening to this, you are not listening on YouTube because as of yesterday, I have a 1-week suspension on YouTube for discussing odd events that may or may not have happened around an election that may or may not have been America. But apparently you can't talk about that. That's wrong, think. I got banned for a week. So, if you're seeing this now on YouTube, it's a week from now. Today is Sunday, February 28th, 2021. 10:22 a.m. Eastern Time. But if you're subscribed on Rumble, BitChute, or Spotify, you're getting the goods as always. So, Dale Comstock back for episode volume 8 of American Badass. And word on the street is Dale might be starting his own podcast. So, get your panties out of a bundle, everybody. You can start getting even more Dale. But with that, I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Dale Comstock, youngest ever member of Delta Force.
Yeah, so before we go into the stories, right, to the book American Badass, tonight, if any of you out there have the book American Badass, we're going to talk about the chapter that covers Malik Marin and then the deer hunter. But before we go into that, I want to say a couple things. First of all, if you're just now tuning into this podcast in this series of where we're covering the book, my book American Badass, and you want to know a little bit more about me, go back to volume 1 and I talk a little bit about my background. That way you know who I am. Second part, so this is kind of funny, right? Because I just have to put this out there because I talk a lot. I talk very fast, and I have a lot of energy, but I never always had a lot of energy, right? I was kind of an introvert until around 30, 32, and I kind of popped out of my shell, probably because I was more confident in myself, and so I haven't held back since then, right? So I like to talk, as you know, Tommy, and the other thing I like is covering details, man. To me, details, the devil's in the details always, right? So I don't like to just give a big, broad concept, big, broad story. I like to get into the weeds on stuff. So hence, when we go into my story, actually, it's kind of contradictory because the book story is actually kind of going into detail. Here, what I'm going to do is give you just tell you my story by mouth, right? Rather than reading it to everybody. But before I go there, a couple of things happened to me the last couple of nights that I thought are important. One, for everybody that's listening out there, I'm calling you from Bali, Indonesia. I have a home here. I have an office here. I have a business here. I have a home in Panama City Beach, Florida, so I can move back and forth. Tonight, again, I'm calling you from Bali. And I tend to work late at nights. Why? Because the time change, right? I'm 13 plus hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So when it's my nighttime, it's your morning time over there. And so for me to do any stateside business, I have to usually work later at night and early in the morning, right? So I'm usually in my office till at least midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning before I go home. I'm back up at 7 a.m. to continue on. So the last couple of nights while I was sitting here looking at my computer, man, I started getting messages like on Facebook Messenger, which, by the way, I've been banned for 30 days on Facebook, but at least they let me have Messenger, right? But they won't let me post or like anything or anything else, right? And I just got to say this, man. The reason they banned me literally was because I said, quote, I thought only Americans were that dumb, unquote. And it was labeled hate speech. And I'm like, wait, I'm an American. So really,
doesn't matter.
I know, right? So anyway, so I got banned for 30 days, but I do get messages across Facebook Messenger, and I also get emails. But the last couple of nights, I had 2 guys contact me. One guy was hurting, a veteran, wanted to talk about, he's got some things going through his mind right now. Obviously, he was feeling a little suicidal. He's dealing with a lot of stuff, and just kind of wanted me to kind of talk to him and see if I could kind of, brighten up his day a little bit, right? And then I had another guy contact me. He goes, "Hey, man, what do you do? When you have a family member that commits suicide, and how do you deal with that, right?" So, interestingly, on the second one, I know exactly what that's like. So my grandfather on my German side that I was very close to, grew up with, he was my grandpa, man. And we spent, I love my grandpa. And one day he ended up committing suicide out of the blue. I got in a big argument with my grandmother and disappeared. My dad, my uncle found him hanging from a tree down at the river where my grandfather and I used to always hang out and walk together, And so, that was kind of a shock, man, at my age, like, whoa, I really never got over it per se. It was always a seed in the back of my head, And interestingly enough, as I got older and I got joined the military, I ended up going through the unit. We were constantly being evaluated by psychologists, right? We had several in-house psychologists, and they were constantly testing us and tweaking the machine, making sure that we're not malfunction, so to speak, right? So we'd have to get our annual mental checkups. And I remember one day, the psychologist, he was reading my profile, and he told me, he goes, you have all the characteristics of someone that is potentially suicidal. And I got to tell you, man, that was it's kind of shocking, because I know what happened to my grandfather, and I thought, man, is it genetic? Maybe I'm inheriting a trait for this, right? And makes me more prone for it. And so on one hand, it scared me, but on the other hand, I would argue that that psychologist probably saved my life all these years, because I've always thought about that. I was like, man, I'm not going that way out. I've done a lot of dudes, but I'm a coward when it comes to killing myself. I just can't do it, nor do I want to do it, man. I got too much to live for, right? And so I got reasons to live. I have purpose, and my purpose is really, it's my children, man. And not only do I want to raise them up to be the best people they can be, but I don't want to take myself out and then have them go, what a dickhead, man, the old man shot himself. What a cow, what happened there, right? And so, because when you kill yourself, man, you're actually killing a part of everybody that's around you that loves you, man. Like my grandfather, man, he killed a part of me, man. Our love together, man, it's like, wow. And I've still haven't gotten over that. And what's interesting is when I look at his pictures, I look just like him now at his age. Wow, I grew up to look like my grandfather. Not my father, but my grandfather, And I got pictures of me and him standing there, and he's holding my hand when I'm little, And I talked about it early on in the book, my experience with the patriarchs, right, which was my father, my grandfather, and my German uncle. So I had this other guy, he was having a moment, and all I could tell these people, man, and anybody out there who's ever thought about it or is thinking about it, or down the road it comes across your mind that you want to commit suicide, it ain't worth it, man, because once you do it, it's over. It's over forever. You can't do a redo, man. And life gets better. It always gets better. I don't care how bad it gets. Eventually it gets better. Okay. It might not be the best, but it gets better. Right. And so the other part of that is life is what you make it. Right. So, we self-actualize, we create our realities, and it's a matter of, it's a state of mind, literally a state of mind. So, you can create a better place for yourself in the world, regardless of how bad it is for you. Right. And so again, I say that because, in 2 nights now, I've had 2 calls already, and I've had these before. I had one last week. I don't know why people come to me, with these things, with these issues, but that's fine. If I can help them and keep them around, that's great. That's my purpose, one of my purposes anyways. And anybody out there listening, man, it's just not worth it, dude. You're not just killing yourself, you're killing a piece of everybody that loves you. And you know what? If you're doing it to get revenge, at the end of the day, you're the ultimate loser. Yeah. You're the ultimate loser, right? So the best thing you can do is rise above the occasion, be the best that you can be, right? Be the best version of yourself, and know that life does get better. And we've all, look, dude, man, everybody thinks I'm Superman, but I'm not even. I'm a big sissy, man. You know what? I'm a big pussy at the end of the day, man. There's, I can't dunce myself. I don't care how upset I get. I just can't do it, man. I can shoot other people all day long, but I can't do myself, right? And so, but we all have a breaking point. I get it, and I've had my moments, and I was telling my wife the other night, I said, you know what? I said, I don't have a problem with drugs. I don't have a problem with alcohol. I said, I really don't have a problem with money. Even when I don't have money, it's not a big deal, right? And it's, I said, my problem is women, man. they're like my Achilles heel, right? For some reason, man, Yeah, man, they're the ones that always seem to tear my world down, man, or take everything from me, you know. And you know, but here I am, man. I'm still alive, right? They ain't killed me yet. Can't kill me.
Yeah, but that's I wanted to say, yeah, it does get better, and it does. I mean, today is February 28th. April 15th will be the 7-year anniversary of my older brother's suicide. I was 23, he was 27. I'm 30 now. Now he's technically my younger brother, and that's a head fuck. But you know, I was suicidal several times, man. That's why I moved home to my parents' house in 2016. And like, dude, it sucks for a long time. Like not like it'll get better in a couple months. I mean, 5-6 years of like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Nothing's worth it. What am I doing? But my logic was the same. I was like, man, I took it as like a personal insult by the universe. I was like, I'm not going to let this thing beat me down and not let me experience happiness. It wasn't even like a desire to live so much as it was a desire to just like be like thick-headed. I was like, I'm not going to let life get the last laugh. And I just held out. And I mean, yeah, dude, there's still troubles every day, but I can tell everyone listening from a first-hand experience, it does get better. Like now, you know, I'm moving out soon. I do a podcast. I make money on it. I've become friends with guys like Dale. I regularly email the 10th man to walk on the moon. He's my buddy now. I chit-chat with a guy that walked on the fucking moon. Like, life does get better. It took about 3/4 of a decade. But my God, it did come out on the other end. And it is worth it. And if you had told me this any day for the last 6 years, I would have said you're fucking retarded. It doesn't get better. But now here I am on year 7, and it does. I mean, it's cheesy, but I mean, the sun does eventually come up. It does. If you just hold out, it does. And now I shoot the shit with Dale, and you know, we talk shit about Facebook censoring us, and you know how we need to bomb China. Like, you won't get to do that if you kill yourself. I stayed alive, and now I'm buddies with Dale.
Let me tell you something too, man. At my age, I'm getting ready. Man, I cannot believe I'm pushing 58 here shortly, man.
Ah, shut up. And you're gonna live to 200.
Well, I am. But the fact that I'm at 58 is like really disconcerting, because yesterday I was at 22, and I'm like, where did the time go, right? And so, as you get older, time seems to speed up.
It does.
And you want to slow it down, and you can't, man. It's like every day, if you're really truly living your life, it's, you know, and you're living the adventure, time flies. Mm-hmm. Like they always say, time flies when you're having fun. It's so true, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I could make myself miserable and maybe just slow the train down, but for what, right?
Why?
I might as well go fast and furious and have fun while I'm doing it. So I can tell you at my age, man, I'm so happy that I'm still here. You know, I'm still that, one, I didn't get killed anywhere along the way. 2, I didn't kill myself. That'd be even more tragic, you know. But there's so much more to life to experience. And if you're younger than me, you have no idea, man, what's possible and the reality that you can create. So, there's guys out there that I get it, man. They have their issues for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's women. I've been through that, man. You know, I never thought that a woman could, control my happiness. But it happened, and when they walked away and took my happiness, you know, I was a freaking train wreck. But I've learned a lesson, right? Never put your happiness in the hands of somebody else. Mm-hmm. Make yourself happy, and just be happy with other people. And if they're not around, you're still happy because you make yourself happy, right? So I've learned that important life lesson, man. Always make yourself happy. Do not ever depend on someone else to make you happy. I always hear that shit. You don't make me happy anymore. It's not my damn job to make you happy. Your job is to be happy. Make yourself happy and be happy with me. If you can't be happy with me, move on out. And that's the thing about women, man. They're like buses. They come along every couple of minutes, right? Now, my kids, the kids are different, right? The kids are the constant. They never come and go, man. And that's my center of my universe. And I mentioned the word purpose before. They are my purpose. To raise them, to mentor them, to be all, to be everything that they would, that they would hope that I would be for them as a father, right? And so when I do eventually die from natural causes, or, freaking in a gunfight with a bunch of bank robbers or some shit, that when I do check out, they go, man, my dad was a hero, man. And they sing me praises, right?
Yeah.
then there's other guys that, that have issues with, their wartime experience, and look, everybody deals with things differently. I'm not knocking anybody. But we all have our different demons, Yeah, me personally, I don't really sleep at night for, letting air out of bad guys, man. And, fine. They signed up for it just like I did, right? Mm-hmm. And I just happen to outperform them. The issues I come up with and I've had were with, the experiences with kids, and women in combat situations, right? And the screaming, man, and all this that goes along with it, and the death for them, right? That's so unfair. And that's the one that's hard to live with, particularly if you have children like I do, right? So I think we've talked about this before a little bit, but basically, that for me as a father, and as a husband, that's the killer, man. That hurts you more than freaking anything else, man. It's seeing the crying and screaming and the tears and the fear, especially in little children, man. It's just so wrong, right? And so everybody has their issues. Some of it's watching your guy next to you, your buddy on your team, get smoke checked next to you, like, holy shit, I don't have that issue, not because I don't care about my friends or anything like that, but I know that all my friends, when we signed up, we agreed to do this, and we knew the risk, and we accepted the risk. And I know that all my friends that were with me, or that went to combat with me, in one way or another, that were killed. I'm not gonna say they died with a smile on their face, but they died doing what they wanted to do, right? And that's a better way to go out than suicide. And if you can't go out in combat, go out natural causes, doing great, wonderful things, and leave behind a legacy, And so, I talk about my coaching. So one is, what is your purpose? Define that. Most people don't even know what their purpose in life is. Two is, how do you want to be remembered, man? And so if you can establish those two things right there, you basically set a compass heading for life to get you from here to wherever the hell you want to go, to that happy place. Anyways, so I just want to kind of start with that real quick for anybody else out there listening. And, feel free to contact me. I don't care, Facebook, anyway, I'm easy to find, right? Just message me. And if you need to chat about something, I'd rather talk to you than have you, do something stupid, and, it's just not worth it, man. I know everybody says that, it's not worth it, man. It's not worth it, man. But, it really ain't worth it, and
it's really
somebody talk some sense to you,
it's really not.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's really not worth it, man. Again, there's someone that lost a brother to suicide. It's like life can be shitty. Life can be shitty for several years. Life can be shitty for 5, 6, 7 years. But dude, I bet if you could talk to my brother right now, I guarantee you he'd be like, "Fuck! Like, why did I check out? Like, life can suck for a while, and it can suck for half a decade. It can suck for a decade, but like, it does eventually open up, and you know what? If it never opens up, guess what? You eventually get to die anyway from natural causes. So it's like you get to check out anyway. Like, So just I'll put Dale's Instagram in the description and stick it in the comment. So if anyone wants to reach out to Dale, do so.
Yeah,
and
it's I think it's official American Badass.
Yeah,
Dale Comstock, official American Badass Instagram. Yeah,
that's where I contacted you last year. I was just like, "Hey man, we do my podcast." I'd be delighted. I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
you know who made it my account was my daughter, my teenage daughter. She came up with the whole thing.
Hell yeah!
Give me an Instagram account, official American Badass. And
that's how I found
somebody actually. Yeah, actually, I had a Hollywood movie producer contact me not so long ago. He goes, dude, he said you should have 1 million followers on Instagram. I go, I just don't pay attention to social media, and I really haven't been really trying to promote myself per se. And he goes, you know what you need to do? He goes, you need to find a little teenage kid to do your Instagram account for you. They'll make you freaking famous,
Exactly.
So, you're probably right.
They figure this shit out more than me. Dude, there's some kid contacted me the other day. He's got some channel on YouTube where he just puts out memes. He's got 250,000 subscribers, and he messaged me and he goes, how do you not have more subscribers? He was like, you talk to Delta Force guys, you talk to astronauts, and I was like, I don't fucking know. I was like, apparently I need to stop having genuine conversations with intelligent people, and instead I just need to start making memes, because he has 250,000, and I was like, Jesus Christ. But hey.
Well, the other part of it is time, man. It takes time to build that following too, right? It's not overnight. So, I just haven't paid attention to it over all these years, and now I'm kind of getting. It's like, okay, so I'm way behind the 8 ball, but I'm gonna catch up, man. There's guys out there. I'm gonna overrun them, man. Down the road, Goggins and all these other dudes that are out there, man.
Yeah, you will. You're gonna overrun Goggins and Jocko. I'm gonna overrun Rogan, and we'll be at the top of the pile. And they won't. They won't be able to ban us because we'll buy our own radio tower and our own internet connection. They won't be able to ban us. We'll buy Elon Musk's satellite internet. They won't be able to ban us. You fucking coming at you live. It'll just be nothing but politically incorrect shit. Dale teaching you how to shoot down range. I'll be screaming obscenities. Fuck yeah, that's the goal. But until then, we're not there. So, but
build it.
Take it away, Dale. Let's
with, so American next story. The next chapter is titled "My Lake, My End," and so a little bit of backstory on this guy, right? So, I spent 9.5 years traveling back and forth to Afghanistan, and not 9.5 years straight, but in 9.5 years, I spent several years in Afghanistan. So much so that I remember one day landing in Kabul, and we had the bulletproof bus pick us up from the airfield and drive us to the embassy, and it had these big windows on and stuff. And I remember we pulled up to a road intersection downtown Kabul. And I see a dude standing in the corner, and he's waving, right, like frantically waving at me. And I take a closer look and go, what the hell? That's so-and-so, right? He's the janitor, right? Custodian at one of the bases I was at that cleaned all the shit and everything, And he's downtown Kabul and recognizes me in the front of this freaking bus. And I'm like, oh, my God. Now you've been there. You've been coming too many times. But when people on the street start recognizing you, then I had another guy we rolled up. He goes, hey, I remember you. You arrested me the last time. Jeez, man. Anyways, so this time I was up in.
I was gonna say most people, you have that problem with like bars. You go to a bar and the bartender. Dale's the only person that goes to fucking Kabul, and they're all like Dale, and it's like Dale's a regular. They're like, hey, you killed my uncle.
Hey, I was out in the field one time. No shit, man. Out in the field in Afghanistan. And the guys had all this stuff laying out there and shit to read, right, to kill the boredom. I look over and there's a magazine, a Soldier of Fortune magazine, with yours truly in the magazine, 3 full pages, right? Advertisement. Holy shit, right? And I wasn't there in true name. And I'm trying to hide all this stuff and get rid of it, because people are reading it out in the field. Anyways, I'm not hard to recognize. Even with the Fu Manchu, I guess. But so what I talk about here real quick is one of my times in Afghanistan up along the Afghan-Pakistani border, basically the northeast province of Afghanistan, called the Kunar River, because it's pronounced Kunar. Some people call it Kunar, whatever you want to call it. But it's a valley, and high mountains, and really picturesque, man. I remember the first time I went up there, I think it was 2003, and we went up into the Chagall, which is a valley. And I got to tell you, man, we did a foot patrol up into the Chagall. We were going to try to link up with one of the villages, the elders there, and just basically do what we do, man. And that is go there, win hearts and minds, try to collect some information. You help us, we help protect you type thing. We give you stuff, you need Band-Aids, you need medical stuff, we got all that for you, right? So that was kind of the intent, but the objective is win hearts and minds, win favor from these people that will now give you information, intelligence, and things you will need to help, prosecute the war. So I remember going up to Chagall, man, and I believe this was my first time out with this group up in this area, right? And we were in a small, I won't name the name of the camp, right? But it was a very small camp, maybe about 150 meters by 150 meters square, maybe 200 meters long, 150, 200 meters long, something like that. It was not very big. It was actually an old Russian compound when the Russians were there, okay? A little fortress. And so as the story goes, if you can imagine this, the compound, it was completely walled in. Everything was inside the wall. We had guard towers on the corners and stuff, barbed wire everywhere. We had, literally had a minefield all the way around the compound as well, barbed wire, machine guns. And eventually we had to pull the mines out, right? Because the Geneva Convention said you can't use mines. So we had to pull the Claymore mines out, stupid stuff, right? And, but, I remember when they were out there always digging and stuff, they were finding bones, right? Skeletal remains. And as the story goes, as it was told to me, this was a former Spetsnaz Special Forces camp, had about 300 of their Russian SS guys there. And they were holding down. It was Fort Apache, man. And all around us was, there was actually one particular warlord. His name was, I'm having a brain fart. Okay, well, anyways, there was one big warlord, right? There's a lot of warlords in Afghanistan, but this guy controlled this whole territory. And and it was all high ground. They own the high ground, and I don't know why they put this camp down the valley, but they put it in the valley, right? So anyways, one day the Russian commander decided, we're going to go out and we're going to call all the elders, anyone of importance, all the military age males, we call them mams, bring them all out, and we're going to have a conversation about, can we just all get along type thing, right? And actually it was a setup is what it was. So they brought all these people out, village elders, doctors, the police, anyone of prominence, and killed them all, shot them down, mowed them all down, right? And bad move. So what happened then was this camp came under siege by, his name's going to come to me here in a minute, man. I mean, it's on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, came under siege, and all of them were wiped out. All 300 freaking dead, right? And that's where all the bones came up from around the compound. And
came under siege against the Spetsnaz?
The Spetsnaz were under siege from the warlord.
Yeah, but it's because the Spetsnaz killed all the military age males.
Yeah,
okay.
They killed everybody from that village, right, which was right outside the gates, right? Okay. And so basically, I don't know what he thought he was going to solve by doing that, but the commander did it, and it all backfired. They all got killed for it. So now we're living in this place, right? So. With time, we're refortifying it, building it up. That's what you do, man. You keep fortifying your defenses, make it bigger, better, stronger. And we were running operations out of there. So we ran a lot of operations out of there, and I'll be talking about more later on in the book. But on this particular one, there was a guy. So if you can just imagine, the Konar River runs north-south. It divides the Pakistani border and the Afghan border, and it's very high terrain. Very high terrain. In fact, going back to the Chagall Valley, as I mentioned a minute ago, it was so picturesque. I mean, when I went there, it was January, February, March, and oh my God, man, just green rolling mountains, man. Like, it was like Lords of the Rings type stuff, man. Just beautiful scenery and flowers and meadows and poppy fields and and running streams and little villages. It was really cool. It was very surreal, actually. And so we had this guy, though, he was an Afghani police chief, is what he was. Okay, this guy was Malik Maharan, and he was a police chief. However, we also know that in Afghanistan there was the formal government, and then there was the shadow government. Right, the shadow kind of government ran everything in the shadows, right? And so this guy was the chief of police for the ANP, the Afghan National Police, in that province, and he had a lot of troops under him, right? But we also know that he's working both sides, right? He's on the part of the shadow government too, subverting, the formal government, et cetera, et cetera. That's what goes on there, right? A lot of games, man. Just, this is how it works. So this guy was pretty clever. He came up on our radar as, the guy we need to get, because we knew who he was and what he was doing. But what he had done, he was on the east side of the river, and on the east side of the river there's a valley running further east, west-east, and he was up inside this valley in the low ground. He had a home up there, right? And by the way, these homes are not like like a typical American home. These are compounds. They're mud wall compounds. They're little fortresses, little castles. That's how they live there. Actually, that's how they live here in Indonesia. Everybody's got a wall around their house. Even my villa, man, it's all completely walled in with about an 8-9 foot wall on it, right? So anyways, so what this guy was doing, and there was only one bridge across the river, probably within 20 kilometers north and 20 kilometers south. And fortunately for us, the bridge was about 6 kilometers south of our camp. And so all we had to do was drive 6 kilometers south, bang a left turn, go over the bridge, and then we're on the other side of the river, and then go up the river maybe 3 or 4 kilometers, bang another right, and we're inside the valley where he stays. Well, what he had done was he placed police checkpoints on the bridge, right? You couldn't just come across the bridge without getting stopped, a lot of questions. And it was just a delay tactic, right? So if anytime Americans would come across the bridge, they would stop us. Hey, where you going? What's going on? How many guys you got? And while that's going on, the guy's on the phone calling Malik going, hey, Americans coming across the river. And what he would do is bug out. He would take off knowing that he might be, the target that night. And so it's impossible to catch this guy because of that, right? And so we wanted him pretty badly. And I remember thinking, okay, how are we going to get this guy? And I figured it out one day. We tried several times, dry hole. He kept getting away. I said, I got it. We're gonna get this guy. So here's what I planned. What I was going to do is take about 20 vehicles, right? Basically a pickup trucks, Toyota Hilux pickup trucks, right? Gun trucks, and a shit ton of my fighters with me. And what we're going to do is in the middle of the night, we're going to drive down to this bridge, okay? And then it was like, I don't know. Actually, back, it was daytime still. We'd drive down to the bridge, daylight hours, go, hey guys, how's it going? We're going to go south, and we're going to just drive up the valley down there a little bit. We're going to set up some vehicle checkpoints, VCPs, right? And okay. And that's exactly what we did, right? We went across the bridge. We didn't go north. We went south like we said we would. We went down about 4 or 5 kilometers. We stopped, and I set my force in a big perimeter. We had about 20-something gun trucks, 23 gun trucks, something like that. And some with a big perimeter, and then we had a couple of vehicles positioned on the road. Guys on the road, any vehicle would come through, we stop the vehicle, get out of the car, we need to search your car, okay, okay, you can go on, right? And we just did that shenanigans all day long, call them VCPs. And these are dirt roads, by the way. These are not hardball roads or anything like that. It's pretty primitive. So the whole idea was to get out there, stay out there long enough so the guards, the cops at the gate or the bridge going, hey, yeah, they're still out there doing the VCP thing. And then, not really. If the Malik had already left, you're like, it's clear, come back, you just run a VCPs, you're good. So he came back to the home. So that was the plan. And then later on that night, probably around midnight, I make sure we're making plenty of noise down there. Everybody knows we're there. We're stopping cars, lights and stuff. Making a big production out of it. But while that was going on, what I actually did is I took most of the force minus the drivers of the vehicles. So I had about 40 guys with me, and what I did is I assembled them. And what I decided to do is we're going to move basically in a northeastern direction. And there was some high ground, right? Because he was living in a valley in between these mountaintops. And so what we're going to have to do is move northeast and then climb this mountain, right? Come over the top of the ridge and then come swooping down on the backside of the valley and then circle him, right? So he couldn't get out. And the other thing I had to do was I brought another special forces team across the bridge at we'll call it H-hour hit time, right? What they had to do is come across the bridge, and as they came across the bridge, they basically, pulled guns on all the guards and the police, locked them up, arrested them, and then so they couldn't make the phone call. And then what they did is once they did that, they came in and blocked off the mouth of the valley, right, with their vehicles. So now we had them, basically in a fishbowl, right? So that's exactly. So we ended up on this ridge line. We stayed up on the high ground till a certain time, and then the plan was when his lights went out in his compound, knowing he's going to bed down. That's when we were coming and get him. We already knew that the front had been locked down. We had eyes on the target, so we know he didn't squirt or get out of the target, and we had him wrapped up. And so a bunch of weird things happened, though. One of the weird things that really happened, which we couldn't figure out, was this Cobra helicopter shows up. So we're up on the high ground. We're actually not that high up. We're maybe 200, 300 meters up on a ledge. And we're just kind of like laying on the ground, just taking our time, waiting, letting the time go by. And all of a sudden, H-64 attack helicopter comes flying in and just hovers over his house, like literally at eye level to us. Just he's hovering over his house. I'm, what is going on here, right? So I'm thinking this guy's going to get out for sure, and he's going to start running because he thinks he's under siege by a helicopter. We don't know why the helicopter did it. He kind of hovered around for a little while, and then he kind of flew away. Okay, and nothing happened. So we then went down. Finally, let's go down and do this thing. So I was the breacher, among other things, right? I'm the only guy that can handle explosives. So I built a breaching charge, and we didn't have these. They're called red devils. Sometimes they call them blue devils. Sometimes they call them green devils. But basically what they are, they're plastic connectors that actually attach firing systems to the dead core basically the dead core of an explosive charge, right? So you keep the firing system and the explosive separate until you're ready to use them. And then you basically marry them up with this particular system, right? Well, we had run out of these daggone, red devils. So I had to go old school, and that was basically tie a figure 8 knot with the dead cord, which dead cord and time fuse is very thick and it's very hard to work with, right? And I'm trying to do this in a hurry, so I get up to the door, and he's got this big, giant wooden garage door outside the compound, right? Massive wooden door. And so I'm thinking, shit, how am I going to get through this daggone door? So I placed the charge. There was a smaller door that was carved out of the bigger door, and I said, okay, this is it. So I placed the charge on there, pull the firing system. I run back behind cover, and then there's like a little tiny pop, and the door didn't even open up. What happened was when I tied the figure 8, you got to remember it's pitch black. I'm in a hurry, and I'm wearing flight gloves. And this whole thing just kind of came unraveled. I guess I didn't tie a good figure 8. And it fell off the door. It fell off the charge, right? And it just, the only thing that fired was the cap and not the charge itself. Well, my Afghans, they thought that was a charge, right? They said, like, hey, let's go. And then when it ran to the door was still closed. The guy just kicked it and goes in, right? So I was like, okay, whatever, right? So we got in. And we didn't even need the explosion. You could just kick it in from the outset, but we didn't know that. So I remember we entered. And that's when it kind of got interesting, right? So he was there, and so was all his family and whoever else was there, a bunch of women, right? And, like over there, right, they can have lots of women and kids and stuff, and guests, relatives, everybody's living in this daggone compound, right, which was multiple little buildings inside the compound. I remember going in, man, we're kicking in doors, and the funniest shit is when you kick in a door, you go to clear a room, and you're tripping over goats and chickens and shit, right? Because they're all inside the room, in the bedroom, right? With everybody else. They're just part of the furniture, right? And so, you don't have to worry about falling over a couch or coffee table. It's usually going to be a cow or a goat or something. If there's, I've literally gone into a room and the guy's asleep holding his chicken, right? Like sleeping with his pet chicken, like, whoa, wait, don't hurt my little chicken, or some of the stuff you see, people having sex, that's another story I have later on about that. But you come across some really interesting moments in those nights. But anyways, so we clear the place, we catch the guy, we arrest him, and I thought he was he looked a little surprised, like, damn, how did they catch me, What he didn't realize, we had a pretty elaborate plan, and it worked, right? So, and off he goes, right? So, and I remember when the op was over, the sun was coming up, and usually you try to get back to, your camp, your fob before it gets daylight, right? Because if it's daytime, obviously the Afghans can see you, the Taliban can see you, they can set you up for an IED, ambushes, all kinds of stuff. So we try to get back in the cover of darkness. This particular night, it was, the sun was coming up, and we were loading, we call them pucks, personnel under control, right? Because you can't call them prisoners, detainees, right? Because, fucking goddamn John McCain, some of these other dickheads, you can't be bad to the bad man because you'll just make them badder, that kind of bullshit, right?
Make them angry.
Yeah, it just, oh my God, I got stories, a ton of those stories too. But anyway, so we pucked everybody. We still flex tie them, we still treat them like prisoners. We just call them pucks, not prisoners, right? You're under our control, prisoner, puck, person. And so I remember after we got everybody loaded up and the trucks were getting ready to drive off, we left all the women behind, right? Because you could hear all the women wailing and screaming, remember one of the guys in my vehicle with me said, he goes, you know what that means? He goes, when the women are screaming. And I go, what? He goes, that means we got the right guy because they know he ain't ever coming back. I'm like, that's good. That's good to know, right? Okay. And I mean, yeah, they're all wailing and stuff because they know we got the old man. He ain't coming back. So, anyways, that was Malik Marin, and it was a fun mission because the way it went off, and. It just showed that, man, we had a good plan. We used a ruse, made them believe we were going to set up a BCP to the south. We really played it up. And then little did they know, in the cover of darkness, I took about 40 Afghans and we lined them up, got a head count, got our nods going, pitch black, and silently snuck off into the desert, up into the mountains, and climbed the mountains, got to the other side, surrounded the place, and then... It was a great plan, man. Then the SF guys at their time came across the bridge, put guns on the police, locked them down, handcuffed them, took their phones, and then positioned themselves at the mouth of the valley. So there's no way he scored now. And we actually had a platoon of Marines that were coming in on the other side, on the far ridge, but we had a guy break a femur. One of the Marines break a femur, so they kind of got delayed. They were kind of there, but they weren't there. But that guy, if he would have run, he would have never made up that mountain anyway. So we were still good. But perfectly executed, went really well, and we got our guys. So that was one of my experiences there. There's many of them up there, but the next one I want to go into, the next story.
Hold on, Dale. Let me piss. Shut up, right. Dale. Shut up.
Always pissing, man. I told you got to get one of those piss tubes that race car drivers have, man. Anyways. So the next story I'm going to go into is the next chapter. It's called A Deer Hunter. And anyways, it's a little, I think it's kind of funny, actually, what happened to me. And so by virtue of being a fact that I was in the Delta Force, I spent almost 10 years there. It was inevitable that at some point during my tenure in the organization that I would be a part of the selection team that would actually select just the new recruits, right? My job was to help facilitate the process, the training, or the selection course. I keep saying training. That comes later. So the course, I won't name where it's done. I can just tell you it's up in Northeast United States, very mountainous terrain. It's actually not really a secret where it's located, but again, just so I don't get myself in trouble, I'm not going to mention the actual location. But so my job, and I was a cadre 3 different times. And as a cadre, there's certain things that we had to do, and it was not negotiable. So the Delta Force selection course, let me just start by saying that I've mentioned it a couple of times before, and I'll say it again for all the new viewers, is very unique in that if you go to look at the Navy SEALs, the Bud School, right, or some of these other courses, special forces, everybody goes through as a group. You see them they're running down a beach with a log or a boat, rolling the sand, and it's a group. It's really a group effort. Right? It's just, can you keep up with the group? And guys fall out, they go ring the bell, and they're done. Delta Force selection is the most unique selection course in the world. Why? Because every man is selected based on his individual merit. Okay? First of all, nobody's yelling at you. Nobody's encouraging you. Nobody's smiling. Everybody's stoic. You don't know what the standard is. You're just told to do the best you can. Whatever that means, do the best you can. When's it going to end? When it ends. How long do I go? Until it ends, right? And just keep doing the best you can, right? So do the best you can physically and mentally every day, day in and day out. It takes its toll because the first thing that goes is your body. If you're doing the best you can, your body's only got so much endurance in it before it starts to break down. Your knees start to go out, everything starts to hurt, you're losing weight, and then what happens is your mind starts to go, right? And so all the stress and pressure that you're under, you put on yourself. Nobody else is putting it on you, right? They just put you out the truck, say, have a good one. What's the standard? Do the best you can.
Yeah, let your own mind eat you, kind of.
That's basically what it does, right? So, and So example, in my selection course, when I went through, there were 110 of us that were selected Army-wide. 110 Army-wide that were in this course. Of the 110 that started the course, 6 of us completed it, and 3 of us were selected. I was the youngest guy ever to make it to the unit at the age of 23. So that gives you an idea.
You can't apply for selection, right? They
no.
So they ask
you. Basically what happens is a recruiter comes around, they give a recruiting briefing, and then if you think you're qualified, you like to try, you turn your paperwork in. Actually, what they normally do is they already canvass the military, all the records. They go, okay, all these guys are qualified. They send a letter to every unit, go, listen, we're going to be at your camp or your base, and at this time, and it's a requirement, you have to send us all these guys on this list because they are qualified to come to our briefing. They don't have to sign up, but they have to come to it, right? So they come to it. So I already kind of pre-screened, right, just to come to the briefing. And then if they like it, they go, yeah, I want to try out. Then they go to the next phase, which is another background investigation that doesn't include the assessment selection process, right? So it's a staged process. It's very lengthy. It's a long time to get through it. And very few people actually get through it on the other end. Very few, very small numbers. Happens a couple times a year, and that is it. So that's what makes it so different and unique. And, people ask the question, well, what kind of man, does Delta Force select, And the easy answer is the best man. And actually, I've heard it couched the right man. Okay, it's the right guy because, here I am, 23 years old, the youngest guy ever, 10 years younger than the average guy that goes there with 4 years of military experience out of the 82nd. And here I am.
Yeah.
I was fortunate, I worked very hard to get there. I earned it. I know that, I trained like a crazy man. But anyways, so what I wanted to go with is, so I ended up going, so after I got to Delta, in a squadron over the years, eventually, we would have to support the training, selection and training detachment, right? Where they would run these courses. And their job was to go to this other country, this other state, and run this course, right? Which was a lengthy period of time. And they needed a troop out of a squadron to come and support it. So my troop was tasked with a couple of times, so I had the opportunity to go up there and now be on the other side of the fence. We're not the student, but now I'm actually the cadre. And I'm the guy with the straight face all the time, not yelling at you, not winking at you, not smiling, straight face. Ask me where you are, where you going, have a good one, and it was a lot of fun. It actually was a lot of fun the times I did it. But one time, this is where it gets kind of interesting. So in the morning, we would pick up our students at the formation. They got their assignments, right? And they were told what vehicle to get on. They got on the vehicles. And I think we had, on average, I had 10 guys in my vehicle. Every pickup truck had 10 guys, and they were covered, so they didn't know where they were at, where they were going. And everything was a secret, right? And so we had to drive them out to their drop-off points, right? We call them RVs, rendezvous points, okay? And from the RV, they got their grid coordinates, they got all their information, where they had to go from that point on, which is all cross-country, mountainous terrain. You can't use trails or roads, okay? All that's forbidden. You got to literally go overland with your rucksack and your gear with you. And you don't know how far you're going. You just know how far the first leg is because we already told you that. But you don't know what the time standard is. And you don't know how many of these legs you have all day and night, right? It's going on like forever. And so when you're wondering how fast do I go?
Yeah, it conserve energy versus you don't want to go too slow.
Do the best you can, right? And so, and for most guys, it's like, well, I better go as fast as I can because I don't know what the minimum standard is, right? I don't know if I can afford to walk, maybe, And so that's where the stress really starts, man, because you're smoked, man, because you just don't know, am I going fast enough?
Yeah.
And if you want it bad enough, you're just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Hope to God it's good enough to get you to the other end, right? Which is, for most guys, it's not enough. They just can't. They just don't have enough gas in the tank. Just don't have enough drive to get them to the other end. So I remember one day, I'm taking my guys out to their first drop-off point early in the morning, and there was another guy already out there, another Delta guy operator out there, cadre. He had just dropped off his guys, and you don't drop them all off at one time. Basically, everything stays buttoned up. You take one guy off the truck at a time. You bring him around the front truck. You show him his grid coordinates. Where you at? Where you going? I'm here, Sergeant. I'm going there. Have a good one. They kind of look at you and say, have a good one. Get out of here. Right? They're gone. And you wait about 5 minutes and bring another one out. You do the same thing, right? So the idea is every guy leaves the RV by himself, and they're going to go in different directions like a starburst, right? They don't know whether they can't follow each other because they have different grids, right? So my first guy that was already there, he had dropped his 10 guys off, and on my way out there, he called me on the radio. He goes, hey man, he goes, listen, I know you're coming out to this point, this drop-off point, but he goes, just be aware, man, there's a deer out here, and he's been hurt. He's hurt pretty bad, I just want you to know he's laying on a tree under here, make you aware of that. And I'm like, yeah, so what? Why are you telling me that? I'm thinking, well, why don't you deal with it? Why you like what? Right? And so this particular guy was not. He was questionable, very questionable. In fact, he didn't last very long. Right? We don't even know how the hell he made it there, but he lasted for a short period of time. And that was one of those days I'm questioning him, going, well, take care of it. If it's a wounded deer and he's going to die, freaking put it out of his misery, right? Well, we didn't have guns. And so I show up and bless me. Before he pulls away, he goes, hey, man, he goes, all my guys are gone. He goes, hey, that deer's laying on a tree over there, And I'm like, okay, right? And he leaves, right? And so I'm not even wasting my time with the deer right now. I got a job to do. So I get all my guys out. It takes about an hour to get all the guys going, right? So they're off to the races. And then I go over to look at this deer and I see it. And I was like, yeah, sure enough, man, he's missing his back legs. Apparently he got run over by a car or something the night before, but his back legs were gone, right? Damn. But he's alive. It's, it's okay. Ears are up, he just can't run. He's only got 2 front legs. And so I'm thinking, man, I can't leave him laying here. He's going to suffer and die, and maybe I could put him out of his misery. Well, we didn't carry guns. We weren't allowed to have firearms with us, right? So I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to do this, right? So I go back, and I have a Swiss Army knife in my pocket, right? I got a 2.5-inch blade, and okay. And I find a crowbar in the back of the truck. There, crowbar, Swiss Army knife. That's about as deadly as I'm going to be able to get, right? And so when I go back to get this deer, right, my thinking was, okay, I'm just going to bludgeon him, and maybe cut his throat, and just bleed him out, right? And so, but as I start approaching him, this little shit gets up on 2 legs and starts running, like hauling ass through the woods, right? Dragging him back in behind him, but he's freaking moving out pretty good. And I'm like on a dead run behind him, like, holy shit, And I'm like, slow down, little buddy. I just want to kill you, I just want to put you out of your misery, man. And so this thing runs out on the hardball road, right? It's a little 2-lane road. There's no traffic on it, right? It's out in the country and in the mountains. And so when he gets on the road, he's literally now running down the center line, right? The yellow lines, as fast as he can. Little legs going on. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm right behind him, right? And I'm swinging on a crowbar, I keep missing. And finally, I close the gap just enough. I crack him in the back of the head once. Took a crowbar enough to slow him down. And I jump on his back, right? And now I'm like riding him like a horse, but he's only got 2 legs. So I squashed him on the asphalt. I'm sitting on his back. And I already had figured out what I needed to do. I dropped the crowbar, and I grab him around the snout, and I lift his head up, right? And just expose his throat. And I take the Swiss Army knife and just cut his throat with it, right? Yeah. Open him up. So I open him up, and I'm sitting on him. I'm bleeding him out. Blood's going all over the place, right? And I'm taking like a deep breath, like, holy shit, that was freaking intense. And when I look up, one of my students had come back, and he's standing on the side of the road holding his map, and he's watching this whole thing go down. and I look at him and I go, what the fuck are you looking at? Get out of here, right? and you got somewhere to go.
You're next.
And he takes off running the freaking woods, right? And I thought about it, oh man, wait till the night when he's sitting around the campfire with these guys. He goes, man,
you never fucking believe what I saw.
He ran down a deer with a crowbar and a Swiss Army knife.
Cut his fucking throat.
Well, anyway, so I take care of that problem, right? And no point in letting it go to waste. So I throw it in the back of the truck,
Yeah.
and figure we'll eat that sucker later. So, and so then this was like a Friday when this happened, and this particular weekend was going to be like a free weekend because we normally worked every day, all night, every night, right? And in fact, this particular day was like a training day. It was actually the selection course yet. So they had on this Friday was the last day of their train up, right? Get them figured out how to do this thing. And then we're going to take the weekend off. And then Monday, the whole course takes off and starts, right? The assessment part. So we had the weekend off. That's what I'm trying to say. And so we were allowed to bring our wives and girlfriends up, and hang out with them a little bit, because we hadn't seen them in a while. And so my ex-wife, way back, she comes up to see me, and we go to this place. It's a resort, like up in the mountains. And we're like, hey, why don't you just get a room up there and we'll hang out up there, resort area, beautiful, mountainous terrain, and freaking spend the weekend together. Mm-hmm. So she shows up, and I'm driving a red Mustang GT 5.0 at the time, right? It's all tricked out, man. Mag wheels, I pretty hooked it up, man. It's my pride and joy. And we're at the resort, and then I think it was Sunday morning. We were leaving the resort, and it was like a really narrow 2-lane road, right, coming out of the resort to the woods, and you couldn't drive very fast. The max speed was probably 25 miles an hour, and there was these deer crossing signs everywhere. So I'm aware there's a lot of deer out in this area, right? Big damn deer, and big damn deer. That's like big ass deer, but they're big damn deer. And so I got my wife in the car, and my Mustang's red, and so I'm deliberately driving slow down this windy road, and all of a sudden these 2 deer come out, right? Bucks, big ones. The first one comes darting out and runs right in front of my car to the other side of the road. And then right on his heels is the second one. Now, I don't know what this guy was thinking. Rather than running in front of my car, he runs right into the car, and he hits my front quarter panel. And he hits it so hard that when he hits it, he launches straight up in the air to the point where we can't even see him through the windshield, like up in the air like a rocket, right? And when that happened, my car was red. He took all the paint off, the red paint off, and it kind of like somehow sprinkled on the windshield. So it looked like red blood on the windshield, right? And he crushed the quarter panel, the rocker arms. He slashed my tire, literally slashed the damn tire. He went up, and then he came down. He landed on my roof, slid down the roof, and pulled my mirror off, knocked off the quarter panel, the rocker panel on that side of the car. Right, it was a serious collision, man, and he just demolished my car, and he hit me. I didn't even hit him, and so my ex-wife was just freaking out over there. I think she was my girlfriend at the time, and she was my wife because she was my girlfriend. I probably wouldn't have married her after that, but so she's freaking out over there, and I'm like freaking out, right? And there's deers by my car window, driver's side window, and he's like on 2 back legs. And his front legs are like, it's like a stallion. He's up in the air, legs are going, crazy. His tongue's sticking out. He's doing the moonwalk backwards, the electric slide. And he falls down the edge and down the other side in this ravine. And by this time, my wife's like lost her shit, right? Like, oh my God, and I'm not freaking out. But I'm actually kind of mad because he just jacked up my car. And so I throw it in park. I take my seatbelts off. I get out. I walk over to the edge. I look down, and there he is laying there, right? He's hurting, man. He's done. But he's still alive, right? Mm-hmm. And I can see him. He's breathing, and his tongue's sticking out, and his eyes rolling up. And I got to put him out of his misery. So I go back. My wife gets out of the car. Ex-wife gets out of the car. And I go to the hatch, lift the hatch up, and I'm digging through my toolbox. and I'm looking for. I know I had a box cutter back there. That's what I was looking for, right? And because again, I didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I had my Swiss Army knife with me, right? So I knew I had a box cutter back there with me. So I'm digging. I find the box cutter, and as I'm digging, my ex-wife's like, "What are you doing? What are you looking for?" I go, "I'm looking for a knife." And she goes, "For what?" I go, "So I can cut his throat, right?" Because I'm thinking, could put him out of his misery, cut his throat. Yeah. And she was like, "For what? He didn't mean to hit your car." And I said, "What?" I said, maybe I need to cut your damn throat, right? Because what the hell are you talking about? She didn't get it, right. I'm going to kill this thing.
Yeah, it's suffering.
And she's like, "Well, he didn't mean to hit your car." Like, Jesus, right? Are you kidding me?
So by the time it's not revenge. It's not like, fuck this deer and hit my car, I'm going to cut his throat. It's injured.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I go over there, and by the time I get to him, he's already dead, right? And then all these freaking country boys show up, and they're like, "What's going on? You okay?" Deer kill, And I'm like, "Hey, can we have it?" And it was a big deer, man. He had rolls of fat on him, man. It was a big freaking deer, man. And they had to be smashed my car up like that. So I was like, "I don't care, do what you want with this thing. I'm out of here. I'm just pissed, man." And so now, when I hear people tell me stories about their deer hunting experience, I took down a 10-pointer, a 25-pointer this year, with a bow and arrow and a friggin' 30-06. I'm like, you ain't shit. I killed 2 deer in 2 days. One with a car, but I maneuvered my car in front of a deer so he'd run into it and kill himself. and I ran the other one out with a crowbar and a Swiss Army knife and cut his throat. Match that story, right? I'm like, what?
It's like
those are my deer.
It's like the comedian Ron White. He's like, my brother's out hunting deer, and he's like, I'm out in the bushes with my rifle. My bullet's going 1,800 feet a second. And Ron's like, my car is going 60 miles an hour with a horn on it, and I can still take him out. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Well, anyways, that was my little experience there, with the deer. And I'm not a hunter per se. Not, I don't go out hunting animals. Not that it's nice. I just don't do it. I don't have time for it. But the 2 kills, man, 2 days, 2 deer, man, freaking without even a damn gun or a freaking bow and arrow, man.
The first deer story is that must have freaked out that guy. That guy probably still tells that story. Like, man, those Delta Force guys are fucking crazy.
Oh yeah, and I wasn't nice about it because he caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
He was literally standing on the edge of the road about 25 yards away, right? And he's holding his map, so he got lost in what happened. Because he shouldn't have been there. He should have been going the other way. So obviously he had double back, got confused. He's looking at his map and compass. He looks left and he sees me freaking taking out a deer with a crowbar and a Swiss Army knife. And I think he's just stunned. Like, holy shit, right? And he's just standing there just kind of like, almost catatonic. Like, after I get done doing I don't even know he's there yet, right? I'm getting done and I'm holding this thing and bleeding it out, and I realize I'm in the middle of this road. A truck can come around here any minute and do the same thing to me that did to him the night before. Apparently, he got ran over by a truck, And I look up and there's a guy standing there, and he's looking at me. And I look at him and go, "What the fuck you looking at? Get out of here! Ain't you supposed to be on the road? You want to be a Delta operator? Keep moving!" So he fucking scampers off in the wood. You got fucking runner! I come after you too! Goddammit!
You're next.
Anyways. So anyway, those are a couple more chapters. Next week I was going to go over A Child's Hell for a Father's Profit. Kind of a sad story, actually, but we'll continue to march with my time in in Afghanistan. So anyways, it looks like we're about an hour and a half into it already. It was crazy. Went pretty fast tonight. Well, I think because we started off with the suicide thing, we talked a little bit about that. Yeah. I thought that was important, man.
It is. It is.
When people reach out to you, man, people you don't even know, they're reaching out for help, then, you got to help, man. And so if 2 guys can reach out to me in 2 days, I'm sure there's a lot more guys out there thinking about this and probably listening to this podcast. And, all I can say is don't do it, man. Yeah. Do not do it. Don't do it.
The way I look at it is when people reach out to talk to you about feeling suicidal, is it's kind of like water spilling over the top of a dam. It took a lot of water before it finally spilled over. So when someone finally comes out and they're like, "Hey man, can I talk to you? I'm feeling suicidal." it means that it's been welling up for months or years, and it's finally spilling over. So you got to remember the little bit you see, whereas you're just like, oh yeah, sure, man, what do you want to talk about? That person is probably they're at the end of the rope when they finally reach out. So that's why it is important to talk about, and it's why I always try to, like, when someone does reach out to me, it's why I always, like, stop everything I'm doing and I talk to them, because it's like when they're finally talking to you, I mean, it's the tip of an iceberg. Like, there's a lot behind it that finally pushes them to talk. So, I mean, primarily, I mean, it is such a simple answer, but just don't fucking do it. Just hold out. It's okay to be miserable. You can cry, you can be angry, you can do whatever, but you can't undo it. You can't undo it. You can't undo it.
Yeah.
It's a permanent. I know it's like a cheesy quote, but it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
And you're not just killing yourself, man. You're killing other people, a part of everybody else. You know, I had a high school friend of mine, a girl. I remember she committed suicide. She jumped off the Oakland Bay Bridge, not the San Francisco Bay, but the Oakland Bay Bridge. Same shit in high school. It's like, what were you thinking, man? You know, it's a cute little girl too. I know. I mean, I'm not gonna mention her name, but I haven't forgotten her name. I haven't forgot what she looked like. You know, that was a long time ago, but left an impression. You know, knowing that she jumped off that damn bridge and killed herself. Like, wow. And I go on and on and on. You know, it just you don't forget. You just don't forget, right? And so that stays with you, and it kind of haunts you. And it's that negative energy I always talk about. That, you know, we don't need to have that in our lives, but people. When people kill themselves, that's what they're doing. They're giving you that negative energy, like a seed. You go and live with it, you know. Because I'm not going to live with it now. You get to live with it. It's just wrong. And you're not hurting nobody but yourself. And you know, I mean, you're killing yourself, but you're hurting everybody else. And ultimately, you know, you may not be killing other people, but you're hurting them for no reason. And your revenge is actually not even revenge, because at the end of the day, you're the loser. You know. So sucks, man. But anyways,
it is. That's one thing. You know, therapists or suicide hotline people will. That's what they're coached on. Is they're like, never tell someone that's suicidal, like, hey, you're just gonna hurt everyone around you, because that doesn't make them feel any better. And it's true, but at the same time, I can tell you, as someone that, you know, lost a brother, like, I have nothing but love for him. The reality is you hurt everyone around you, and
absolutely, man.
And like, I'm not trying to guilt trip anyone, but man, like, you hurt an unbelievable amount. You hurt everyone around you, and who knows? I mean, maybe it's I don't know. I can't, obviously, I've never pulled the trigger, so I don't know. But I mean, you destroy everyone around you, and I don't think they ever fully recover. I think you just kind of learn to cope with it. It's brutal. It's just hang in. Another tactic I would use when I was most depressed is just choose a date out in the future and be like, if things don't get better by then, I'll kill myself by then. And then you get to that date and you're like, well, it's a little better, and then it's whatever, and then you just keep kicking that can down the road, and you can do that for years, and then all of a sudden it does get better. You just gotta play games with yourself. Just be like, I'll do it then, and chances are you'll keep bitching out, and then one day things get better and you're still here. It's man, just stick with it. Again, message Dale, you can comment here, you can email me, and shit, if you die, you can't keep watching these American Badass episodes. At the very least, you can get more stories, like killing deers with a crowbar.
I want to hang around here and see how the world's going to burn down.
Yeah, man.
The way things are going.
That's what I'm here for. It's not like I'm here because I'm like, what day are the nukes going to fly? You know, I'm like, how are they going to go? Is it, you know?
Oh, I don't want to miss that. I want to see how that works.
That's the ultimate. Man, you know? It's the ultimate 4th of July fireworks. Do we nuke China first, or does China take us out? It's, hey man, get your popcorn. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be the best movie ever.
Not only that, man. You know what? I'll tell people out there. You know. Man, first of all, if you're in a relationship with someone and you're having these issues, you know, you got to ask yourself, is there something wrong with this relationship? And what am I not getting from this person that I need to, you know, to be happy? But if you're not in a relationship, or maybe what tends to happen a lot of times is people wreck the relationships because of these issues they have, you know. So they don't even have a relationship anymore. So they somehow fouled it up, you know. And I'll always tell you, man, there's always somebody out there, man. There's someone out there for everyone. I goddamn guarantee it, man. There's always someone out there for everyone, and someone you can truly be happy with and comfortable with, be in love with, and you're never going to get to know that if you're freaking,
if you're gone,
you punch your ticket. Yeah, so hang around, man. There's good stuff out there for everybody. There's good stuff for all of us, man. There's happiness for all of us out there. Sometimes you got to put up with the bullshit to get there, but that's what's called life.
Fuck yeah.
Deal with it.
Fuck yeah.
So,
all right, Dale.
All right, man.
I appreciate it as always. I'll put Dale's Instagram in the description, top comment, and his book, and tune in next week.
Sure.
All right, brother. Dale. I'll see you, man.
Take care, guys.
Take care, buddy. Peace.